Welcome back to Two Who's Review. I'm Alex.
I'm Fitz.
And I'm also here again.
And today we will be reviewing the first two-part story of Series 4 of Doctor Who, the Sontaran Stratagem and the Poison Sky. It is the glorious return of the Sontarans to Doctor Who in the revival era.
Yeah, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's about what I think as well. It's nothing great, it's just pretty good.
Well, glad we got that settled. Good episode, guys.
Yeah,
we'll see the audience next time.
Thanks,
sure.
Thanks for joining us.
You guys totally haven't gotten accustomed to us explaining why we think what we think. You're just here for a quick one-sentence review and then an hour of silence.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if we actually just did that? To fuck with the audience.
Much further through the show by now, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh no, I bet with this random episode. Just upload it. Oh dear.
So, Sontaran Stratagem. I think something that I think the story really gets right, based on what we've seen of the Sontarans in the classic era so far, at least, is just the Sontarans themselves. Like, it nails their characterization and personality. It does a good job distinguishing them from other classic era villains that have been brought back. It does a good job of showcasing why they are distinct enough to have warranted being brought back. They certainly leave an impression by the end of the story. It feeds into the story, touches on stuff that effortlessly feeds into the design ethos of the Sontarans and what makes them interesting to begin with. It's a good setting for them.
Yeah. Like it works. It does work as a premise, I think, because even the concept of using these poison cars, it works in the sense that, you know, there are like a clone war species, but it's also interesting to see the Doctor challenge them by saying, you know, why are you taking the cowardly route by using poison? And that sort of at once it establishes firmly who these people are, but it also helps to sort of subvert expectations a little bit within the same story, and that's quite satisfying, really.
Like, watching it, I found not only are they like distinct from a lot of other Doctor Who villains, they feel distinct enough from like other examples of like the warrior race in sci-fi settings.
Yeah.
Like, compared to, like, say, the Klingons, who are like the other like big one that fit that archetype.
Yeah, totally.
Because like Klingon like honor in battle stuff is like, there's a hint of mysticism to it. Like, they believe in a Klingon Valhalla, that kind of thing, and like they're like, the Sontarans by comparison are much more like militarized, which I think gives them like a very unique feeling in that niche.
Yeah. Well, I think, and granted, you know about this much more than I do, Sam, but maybe one of the differences between them is that the Klingons seem to be kind of less one note than the Sontarans, I guess. Like, I get the feeling that the Klingons have like a fairly rich culture and a history and belief system, as you sort of hint at.
It depends. Usually it's more you get individual Klingon characters. So like Worf, for example, in TNG is like a really interesting take on a Klingon, because he was raised by humans for most of his life, and everything he knows about Klingon culture is stuff he's learnt. So when he meets other Klingons, they're like, this guy's fucking weird. And it's like, it's the equivalent of if like a Japanese kid was raised in the US and the first time they went to Japan, they were like full on like Shintoist samurai culture, and like everyone else around them would be like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?"
I guess that makes sense. But I
like
think
at the same time, yeah, like Klingons. I think the nature of how Doctor Who does its stories is very like, if this episode is about the Sontarans, then it's about the Sontarans, and if it's not, chances are they won't exist for all intents and purposes. Whereas Star Trek tends to be more all-encompassing in terms of its lore and setting.
yeah, I can see that. I think, in a sense, Doctor Who is more uh scattershot in a way in its approach. Like the
well, like
lore is built on
you can go
itself
you can
over
go
decades.
anywhere,
But
anytime, any place. So the chances of something remaining relevant are always like pretty low. But
yeah,
even though most Star Trek shows are fairly episodic and self-contained, like it's always set in the same time period.
yeah, and in the same sort of zone, I guess. Is it just called the Federation, the Galactic Federation? Is that basically where it's all
So most
happening?
of Star Trek happens in the Alpha Quadrant. Um, but then like Deep Space Nine has a portal to the Gamma Quadrant. Voyager is mostly in the Delta Quadrant. And like the Beta Quadrant gets brought up because that's where a lot of Klingon and Romulan territory is, but like it's probably the least directly looked at this point. But yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right.
Most of it is relegated to that 1/4 of the galaxy, yeah.
Sure.
As opposed to anywhere in the universe at
Yeah,
any point in time.
or not just the universe in other universes. So yeah. Doctor Who is like expansive, but it also means it's a bit, the lore is scattered. I mean, this story brings up the war between the Rutans and the Sontarans. If this is your first Sontaran episode, that's completely new information, and even if it wasn't, you may not remember that particular detail, or the fact that we did actually see a Rutan in Doctor Who previously, because that was the main villain in Horror of Fang Rock. So it's, as I say, more scattershot. With that said, and what I was sort of getting to earlier, the Sontarans do seem a little bit one note, maybe not entirely, but certainly at this point in the show, they're that clone race, all right, clone warrior race fighting for 50,000 years. There was a box set that was released with all the classic Sontaran stories in them, and it was literally called Bred for War. So I think the emphasis of what this species is and what they're about is pretty clear and doesn't have a lot of variation, I think. Certainly not until what's the name of the good Sontaran character, Cuff, that Stephen Moffat came up. Yeah, until he came along, certainly.
Who's played by one of the Sontarans in this episode.
Yep.
I was going to say, I thought I recognized a voice or a face or a...
It's the same guy in the same makeup and everything. It's just a different character.
Yeah,
which
and he's
works because they're
using his
clones.
natural voice as well. Yeah.
But does he play, what's his name, Score or something?
Yeah, Score.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's a fun episode enough for the Sontarans, and I think given how mediocre or uninspired bringing back previous villains can be, not that I'm making any specific reference to recent events, it's pretty strong. Like there may not be a lot of nuance into who the Sontarans are, but they present interesting challenges to excuse me, the Doctor and the main characters, with sort of what they are and what they represent in terms of, I guess, a reflection of humanity with their, sort of obsession with war, and they're very weird, like I guess you'd call it feudalist structure. There's also it's mainly done for comedy, but it's still interesting. There's little flavors of misogyny here and there. Like, I do find it funny, but it's fitting when the
Actually, that was something I was going to bring up later. When we started talking about Radigan.
Yeah.
But since you mention it now, we may as well. I watched it again this afternoon because we're at the point now where, even though I rewatched the whole series after we did Partners in Crime, there's been a time between recordings where I'm like, I should watch him again just to be fresh. But particularly this one, I was like, this character was like weirdly prescient in a way, because like,
well,
like obviously you've always had people who are like, I'm the specialist, cleverest boy in the world, and everything should be handed to me because I'm the biggest specialist boy. But I found specifically the part where, and it was the scene where he gets in on doing the Sontar Ha, and he's like fucking loving it. I was like, this is what radicalization of young men has become in like the last couple of years. Like, this is almost 1-to-1 what like all the fucking Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson fanboys.
Well, like, I'll tell you what. In a way, I think I can say this with a decent amount of confidence. I think in a way, in terms of representing that sort of thing, Radigan might be a better character than Al was in the Robot War. I think, like, it's more obvious with Al. Like, you know, Belinda literally says "planet full of incels." I personally prefer a more not a more subtle approach, but a less in your face approach, which I realize basically just comes to the same thing. But the point is, I prefer Radigan's characterization. And there's one line which I actually didn't realize was in there until I watched it a second time today. And it's very brief, but it's telling. When he's talking to his little genius proteges as the world's ending, he says something to the effect of, "Oh yeah, we've got the mating program sorted," and I'm like, that's got some disturbing implications, doesn't it? That's not great. But as you say, Sam, it's an indication that he is very susceptible to that sort of radicalization, and more than that,
because I just found it very striking that it was like specifically this hyper masculine, violent, like structured, like rank system, like alpha, beta, sigma shit, and that it was like all about like the best of the best. You are special because you're smart, and the fact that you are a social outcast is not your fault. It's everyone else's fault. Everyone else is to blame, or like all that kind of shit. I was just like, that's
this is
on the pulse in a way that, like you say, the Robot War just wasn't.
Yeah, the thing is, all the things you've just described, Sam, to my understanding at least, these are classic fascist tactics. It's like, oh, hello, person that we consider inferior. Hey, is your life shit? Do you have a lot of problems? Well, don't look within, or don't try to change the system around you. No, it's those people over there. It's the girls who didn't date you, and those mean bully jerks who didn't understand your nerdy obsession. So come with us, and you'll be with the Sontaran race. And wait, what's that? You want to go to Magic Fairy Tale Planet? Well, that doesn't exist. And actually, go fuck yourself, because that's what we do.
I find it interesting that during that scene where he's trying to convince all of his science pals to go to the new place, he uses a lot of like inclusive language, like we were always bullied, they always believed us for being smart. He's completely projecting that onto other people. Like he doesn't even have the mental acuity to fathom that like smart. He to him, it's just a matter of fact. Like it must have been because I was so smart, and therefore all people must have the same life experience as me. So of course they're going to be on board with this. I'm not even going to ask them about it beforehand. It's
he's been completely seduced by the Sontaran propaganda, basically, and it makes sense. Again, they don't explore it to a huge degree, but I think the current of misogyny that's definitely present in Ratigan has been. I don't think it's been handed down to him specifically by the Sontarans, but it's definitely been exacerbated. Because again, I realize that there are a couple of lines in particular from the Sontarans about stuff like this that are a bit comedic. But when and I'm forgetting his name, but the leader, when he says that weapons are the words of women folk, I laughed, but I'm like, that's gross. I'm not surprised, but it's gross. But the thing is,
just back to Ratigan real quick. I've always had a soft spot for the actor who portrays him, Ryan Sampson. I love a lot of the like tiny little nuances and like facial inflections that he does.
Yeah,
because it'd be very easy to play this guy as just like the fucking like snarky and like unlikable guy, and you need him to be a
full-blown maniac, but he's not.
Full-blown maniac, but he has there's a few like little subtle things, like when the doctor calls him out on like a simple error in grammar, you can see his face completely drop in that moment. Yeah. Like it's like a small touch, but it's like it's so good at conveying so much about this character.
It's a Glenn Howerton level of rage being contained.
The crashing of the thousand waves. He is the golden god. The golden god is not taking questions.
It's so good.
Finish a
planet. No, a starter car.
I'm a 5-star planet.
This is a poison car.
No, I love that the doctor takes time to like directly address it as well, saying that it's been a long time since anyone said no to you. That's such an intelligent line to assign to a character like this.
And it's not like super obvious on your face. It's just one small line, but God, it says a lot about him, doesn't it? Like it is quite a good bit of characterization, and of course, what did you say the name of his actor was?
Ryan Sampson.
Brian Sampson. His performance. Ryan Sampson, excuse me. His performance throughout the story, but especially in that scene, it's just so palpable because you can just feel that tension where he's used to being the smartest guy in the room, and it's not even until the very end where he literally calls the Doctor a genius, where he's sort of humbled. But as you say, his performance in conjunction with his character arc is weirdly endearing. Incidentally,
it needs to be to give the ending satisfactory weights.
Yeah, for sure. Like he needs to, like, having the sacrifice play. I mean, I'm sure I could probably think of worse examples of it, but it works pretty well nonetheless.
Narratively, he had to die.
Oh yeah.
I mean, well,
like he was like actively reveling in how fun it is to kill people. I was like, like seeing the error of your ways or not, that's too far.
Well, even if
you've got to blow yourself up now, that's the only way out for you.
Well, if even if there was some kind of possible redemption arc, and as you say, I don't know how that would really work. I think as a character, his mind, I think, is basically fractured by the end of that story. He's obviously he looks kind of unhinged from the beginning, but it just gets worse and worse. And when this illusion that he has is completely shattered, I think doing this, sacrificing himself, trying to do, something clever, as the Doctor says, it was either that or like complete personality disintegration from this guy. I mean, he literally crawls up in a fetal position when he realizes, oh, my big, scary, tough guy friends have betrayed me. Oh no, who saw that coming?
Andrew Tate isn't gonna let me fuck any of his sex slaves. But he promised.
Oh, Jesus.
And I think there's also something that can be said for like the current landscape and combining that with the characterization of Radigan is that for all of his like, oh, I'm better than everyone. Oh, look, I'm literally laughing about people dying in a car. I'm watching the planet get choked with glee. And then in the end, he can't bring himself to pull the trigger when he's threatening people at gunpoint. Like he's just a scared little boy, and he's projecting all this stuff. Like it's I think it's
like when there's the disconnect.
Yeah.
And he can be like, that's not a real person. That's like a thing on a screen. Or this is all in service of the greater plan.
The greater good, yeah.
But like when it's like, actually fucking do it then, pussy. He's like, no, yeah, you're right. I am a pussy.
Yeah. Like it, and it's a good contrast to the Sontarans too, because obviously any Sontaran in that position is just going to shoot you. But it shows that Radigan isn't quite.
The Doctor does the same thing at the end, where he's like, "I'm warning you. I'm gonna do it. I'm definitely gonna push this button." And Stahl keeps being like, "Fucking do it then." I would. Give it here. I'll do it now, motherfucker.
Incidentally, and we'll talk about this next time, but the funny and I swear to God, this is coincidence. The next story we're looking at is Death to Daleks, and it has a similar ending. A horrible collaborator with the main villains who's got fascist tendencies winds up betraying the villains in a sacrifice play. It's so
an explosive
so weird.
Sacrifice play.
Yeah, with an explosive that it blows up the ship. Again, pure coinkydink. But anyway, that's another story for another day. So Martha's back.
Martha's back, and it also, this story neatly is also a reintroduction to Unit for the modern day. It's strange. Like I always associate the full return of Unit with the introduction of Kate Stewart, and I always forget that they tried to like properly bring them back in a couple of times before that point as well.
Because they're here and they're going to show up again in the finale, and is that it until Kate?
No, weren't they also in Planet of the Dead?
Planet of the Dead. They're responsible for.
Oh yes, that's right.
The looking at Lee Evans is there.
Yes, that's right.
I don't think I do think that's it rather until series 7.
They were in Aliens of London World War 3, weren't they? Or am I?
They were like name dropped, but they weren't like a big deal.
Oh, I thought the army forces or what they are. Anyway, that's fine. But yeah,
I mean,
Unit's back.
It would have been a scene of something like being like someone over a radio is like, Unit force mobilizing, and that's literally it for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like, I wouldn't call Aliens of London a Unit episode, but this is a Unit episode.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Martha's characterization in this is, well, for when she's on screen and not a clone, it's interesting, like, I can feel the shades of, like, it's obviously the same character, but, like, there's a new confidence to her that is quite nice. And it's natural after walking across the planet by yourself for a whole year. You would gain a confidence like this, and I think joining Unit as a sort of army doctor is it's like an obvious place for her to end up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. But she's got.
It's good to see her again. It's nice that because I think this was always the plan with the RTD era, is to have this like rotating door of companions. Like no one sticks around for too long, and that way they can pop up again if they don't get trapped somewhere. Rather, they can pop up again in the future. It's a nice surprise for fans. It's also like makes perfect sense in universe. It's just really good to see her, and she and Donna have a really nice chemistry when they get to interact as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Martha, she's got, as you say, there's a confidence there, but there's also a wisdom to her.
Yeah.
That it almost borders on a world weariness, because she's aware of the toll of what it is to travel with the Doctor as she points out to Donna that he's like fire, and I'd almost forgotten what like I obviously remember basically what happened to her family, but I forgot the detail that no, they were literally tortured and imprisoned for fucking ages, for a year, and I'm like, yeah, that's full on to put it one way.
And they're like the only people on the planet who remember any of that shit
Yeah.
happening.
Oh fuck, I forgot about that too. Shit, yeah, that's.
But Martha's main
Speaking
role
of that year,
yeah,
it's a little weird that she's engaged to Tom. Like, how would that have played out? Like time resets, and she's like, "All right, I'm gonna look up this guy, find him, and be like, hi, I've definitely never met you before."
well, maybe
And
that's
then
why it falls
and then
apart.
that
And
blossoms into an engagement that doesn't actually go anywhere.
yeah, so maybe that's why it falls apart, and she ends up marrying Mickey in the end.
Yeah.
Tom Milligan,
right.
Tom Milligan, the post-apocalyptic survivor, is not the same Tom Milligan as I assume surgeon that we see for that brief moment at the end of Last of the Time Lords.
I thought he wasn't in Smith and Jones, was he?
No.
No.
Okay, I thought he was. I thought that was where that connection came through. Anyway, no,
he's just some guy.
Yeah, just some guy. Doesn't matter. Not important.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But Martha's main role in this
Martha,
story
girl,
is
you need to pick your men better.
Oof.
First the doctor, then an alternate fucking Tom. Then you end up with Noel Clark. God.
What are you doing? Oh, dear.
But Martha's main role in this story is to be abducted and cloned by the Sontarans. And it's interesting that because her role in the next story is to be separated from the Doctor and hang out with the Hath for most of the time. I do kind of find myself going, like, as fun as it is to see Martha here, how much is added to the story by it being Martha?
Are we gonna?
I would argue that the being kidnapped and cloned is not necessarily her main function.
Well, no.
I'd say it's one of two. One is mainly to be the vehicle with which we reintroduce Unit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which I think is like a much fairer use of her as a character.
She's also
like an old companion guest starring, to me, doesn't feel like they need to have the same level of involvement that a current companion does. Because it feels like it's a different dynamic narratively.
See, I can understand that. I disagree a bit, because I think if you're going to put a character in a story, even if it's like a legacy character, it's better to really try and involve them with the plot. I mean, we saw the opposite of that with the.
I'm not saying she should just show up and just be there and do nothing.
So not like Jamie.
I'm just saying, like
Zoe in the 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Like I'm just saying, I feel like her role in the episode isn't on the same level as what Donna's role should be. Because Donna is the companion. Martha is an old companion popping in to visit.
Well, I guess in a way it's kind of like School Reunion, because we had, one of the biggest legacy characters come in, but she's not like the main focus. Similar thing here. I will say though, I think like Martha does have a couple of like roles in the story. Like yes, she introduces Unit. And it's kind of a good way to be sort of the audience's eyes for Unit, because on one hand, she's a former companion, but she also has one foot in this world, so she can sort of introduce us to that. But also, she does help with some of the commentary and even some of the themes, like when she's talking to Donna about, what it's like to travel with the Doctor, and just small comments she makes about the Doctor as a person.
Yeah. Or when
but-
he's like, I don't know about these unit guys, and she's like, well, you're not here all the time. So
and
someone has to fucking deal with shit sometimes.
and I'm the inside woman, Doctor. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm doing the smart stuff. Yeah. So and that's, I think, is important stuff too, because it allows the audience to reflect on the themes of the show, but also the characters, especially the Doctor. And the other thing is, in terms of like just how the plot works, having, even when Martha gets cloned, the fact that she's, a unit member, and has to sort of at least have the illusion of gaining the Doctor's trust, that's important too. That being said, I wonder, is that kind of a cop-out? Because could you theoretically do that with another character? Like, whether even if they weren't like a legacy companion, could you have them cloned and trick the Doctor for that long? Or
I suppose. Well, the Doctor doesn't get tricked by the.
Well,
clone
yeah, and that's the other thing.
for a
Maybe
moment.
it doesn't really count.
I guess the thing is, like, it would be a lot harder for the Doctor to notice the clone swap if it's a character they've only just met.
Yeah.
Because
if it's someone that
we see him questioning her throughout. Like, he says, aren't you going to call your family? And he even does something that I noticed on this run where, on this watch back rather, where he says Avanti instead of Alonzi, and it's just like a really subtle thing of being like, are you going to comment on that, Martha? Nope. All right.
Well, so as a point of comparison, we have Ross, the unit guy who's driving him around for that first episode. As much as he builds a rapport with Ross, I don't think Ross is someone that the Doctor trusts enough that they would be like, yes, this Ross is the perfect person to replace and have manipulate everything.
I mean, like, he's there essentially to just sort of extract a decent amount of pathos and to push the Doctor into that final, don't fuck with me sort of mode. So I don't know, like, Martha being there even as a clone does make sense, because again, you need that, unit person, but at the same time, it's better for it to be a companion, because the audience at least, thinks that she's tricking the Doctor until we find out in the end that's not true. But still, the point is, there's something about it that seems almost roundabout, but it does, like, it basically does work. Like, it wouldn't, the way the narrative is structured, when you put all the pieces together, it wouldn't work the same way if it was a different character that they were cloning.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Going back to Unit for a second, and sort of some of the larger stuff revolving around the Doctor in this story, I think this episode kind of mishandles the whole "I'm the Doctor and I don't like guns" thing, and I think an episode like this is kind of responsible for the 13th Doctor's gun aversion that is also horribly mishandled.
Oh,
still kind
I don't know.
Well, it's really kind of surface level. Like, it's literally just, if I see someone with a gun, I don't like them, and I'm not going to give them respect. And we see that is a negative thing with his treatment of Colonel Mace. Like, he gives Colonel Mace absolutely no respect throughout the entirety of the story, and it actually leads to the Colonel directly going against the Doctor's advice throughout the story and getting people killed. Then when his military strategy ends up working against the Sontarans by the end, there's no moment where the Doctor's like, well, I guess you knew what you were doing the whole time. I mean, my apologies. And then it's like, well, the Doctor then decides, I'm going to go and blow up all the Sontarans with a bomb. Like, how is that any different than walking in there with a gun and shooting them all? Like, I'm anti-gun myself, but in the previous episode we reviewed for this channel, the Fourth Doctor explains his anti-weapon policy by saying if someone sees that you don't intend to harm them, they usually won't harm you. It's not just it's just about people with a gun, and if I see you with a gun, I have no respect for you. That's not a thing at all. That's not accurate.
I mean,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
agree. I agree that its presentation in this episode is fairly surface level, but
mm,
to devil's advocate, some of the points.
Sure.
I would say it's probably less that he's literally a guy with a gun and more that he is like a full-on military commander.
yeah, it's
That
I mean,
mm,
guess.
changes the context more than just someone who happens to have a gun on them, like say a Captain Jack when we
yeah.
first meet him.
Yeah.
And
Um,
he's not as aggressive with I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but he doesn't seem to be that aggressive with Ross, for example, because he's
yeah,
not a commander. He's not that towering representation of the military industrial complex. I mean, arguably, it. I mean, I think it's character progression personally, but the way the Doctor handles authority in this moment is quite a contrast to how the Third Doctor would have, for example, and we've seen examples of that when he was working for Unit. But I think I kind of agree with both of you. It is it's done frequently enough, and like there is a surface level element to it. It's certainly not as deep or as well thought out as other places. It's not like that scene in the Happiness Patrol where you got that really creepy scene where the Doctor sort of manipulates this guard to not shooting him by saying, you're the one with the gun, so go on, But I think I agree with you, Sam, that most of the Doctor's disdain for Colonel Mace is because he's a representative of the military, who's not the brigadier, basically.
yeah,
I think that's probably where it's coming from. And the whole I'm going to use a bomb now.
yeah. I feel like
It's
that's a bit of a false equivalency.
yeah, especially because he says I'm going to give them a choice. If he really was sort of uh if he was really being hypocritical, he would have just sent the bomb there. He would have, and we've seen the Doctor do stuff like that. There's I think a scene in the Dominators where I think the Doctor himself fires like a weapon at a retreating spaceship. Um, so I don't think it's as hypocritical as you interpret it as, Cuff. I think that that ending feels pretty consistent, and of course, this is the end of the narrative. When the world is almost ended, and the Doctor really doesn't have any other choice. He has been pushed to the limit, and even then, he still can't let go of that. I guess that sense of moral fortitude.
Mm.
So I don't
I mean,
see
like
it
we
as
were
a
talking about it
contradiction that
earlier,
much.
he really fucking lingers on pushing that button.
Yeah.
And the
I
only
guess,
like logical reason I can think for that is that he just doesn't want to have to kill them,
of
even
course.
though they are Sontarans.
I
Mhm.
guess my whole thing is more like if Colonel Mace, right from the first time we meet him, is like blood hungry and like whatever this thing is, we're gonna wipe them off the face of the earth. Earth for this, we're gonna let them know who the dominant species on this planet is. That would be one thing, but he's kind of timid when he's like very like eager to impress the Doctor from the first time we meet him, and like even when he does initially resort to attack, like with the nuclear option and attacking the Sontarans before the Coeur d'Alene signal is dealt with. That's only because he's getting desperate at that point. It's not his first thought in this situation, so it feels the hostility towards the character feels a bit misplaced. Like all of the actions Colonel Mace takes, I can very easily see the Brigadier taking the exact course of action, and there's
I
no
mean,
way the Doctor would be that hostile towards the Brigadier in that moment. So it literally the only qualifier is I've met you for the first time. Cool, you've got a gun. Okay, I have zero respect for you then.
Again, I don't think
like,
it's just that he's got a gun. I think, especially as you say, he's kind of more timid at the beginning. But that's kind of the problem. The Doctor can clearly see that this is a man who has been indoctrinated into the sort of military industrial complex, and the fact that he wants to show the Doctor this weird sort of reverence frustrates him. Now, I will grant you that if it was the Brigadier doing the similar things. Yeah, the Doctor probably wouldn't be as bothered, but the Brigadier is a special case, and we know that even at this point, given the long history they've had with each other. And also, I don't know if that sort of anti-militaristic attitude is unique to 10th Doctor. Actually, no, I know it's not. But it's stronger, certainly, in this Doctor than it was in the 3rd Doctor, or even the 4th Doctor, for example. Whether you call that a contradiction or character growth, I don't know. But the point is, I think it makes enough sense for me, I think is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like, broadly speaking, I agree with you, Cuff. I don't think Mace actually does anything that is, like, particularly unjustified. I think, for the most part, he does the best with the information he has and all that. I just don't necessarily think that the two things are mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
I think him doing the best he can with the means he has, but also being representative of a system that the Doctor inherently doesn't like. The Doctor can be like, this guy just gives me the shits.
Yeah, because he's...
Sometimes you just meet people and they're like, you're like, instantly your vibe is like, I don't like
Mr. Military Man. Yeah, now, and look, I will grant you that there are quite a lot of moments where the Doctor just say, stop using guns, get the gun away from me, ooh, gun, icky, and
yeah, I think maybe it is because it's this kind of, like, because a lot of the gun analysis in this is kind of surface level, I blame it for the Chibnall era handling of the trope, and that's maybe why I'm being a bit more harsh.
Yeah, I mean, it's nowhere near as bad, for sure, but
I think I just want to
I do see
we're gonna get a much better Doctor doesn't like guns in the next revival episode.
Sure. I think I just would have liked at least like one moment at the end where it, like, the Doctor meets up with Mace, maybe like as they're wrapping up stuff at the Atmos factory, and there's like a moment of like gained respect between the two.
Yeah,
I think I just would have liked that, because I think it's
sure.
It still just leaves a bit of taste in my mouth. The last impression that we get.
That's fair.
I don't know. The whole thing just kind of.
There's like almost one when like the Valiant shows up and he's like, "Oh, that's cool," and he's like, "Oh, it's cool, is it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's not that cool."
And then,
and
the interesting
that's probably the closest to that.
But the weird thing is,
but at the same time, this character's never going to show up again.
It would have been. It could have been done having a sort of reconciliation between the two of them, because you see as the story goes on, Colonel Mace becomes more and more agitated. He said, I mean, what does he say to the Doctor? It's like, okay, I'm going to paraphrase it terribly here, but he basically says to him, "I find your lack of faith disturbing." And then he gives that impassioned speech, but he's clearly got that sort of antagonism by the end. It's like, oh man, this guy's just shitting over everything I stand for, isn't he? That's no, thank you. So they could have done it, and it almost feels like they're setting it up. But I think, in a way, maybe that's just part of the problem, because even for a two-parter, there is quite a lot that goes on in this story. But the weird thing is, there's some story arcs, like, a reconciliation between Colonel Mace and the Doctor, that could have been dealt with. On the other hand, random scene where Colonel Mace kisses the woman leader, which, here's the thing, that annoyed me, but it's only because it's such a stupid mid-2000s trope. I feel like I've seen that in like a dozen kids' movies from that era, and it's just, why is it there? Like, anyway.
I'll tell you what, maybe I'll tell you what would have made the whole thing sit a bit better for me. If when we get to Stolen Earth, it's Mace in the unit headquarters that stands against the Daleks and makes a sacrifice play, instead of a random British actor putting on an American accent that we meet for the first time.
No,
and
he's
we'll
American.
never see again. Pun?
I know of the actor. He's American. He just lives and works in the UK.
Okay, well, you'd forgive me for thinking that some of these actors are putting on American accents. Some of them are pretty terrible.
Yeah. By the way, right again, like, he's clearly putting on an American accent, right? Like, I'm not the only one who's thinking that, surely.
I mean, if he is, it doesn't make much sense to me,
like,
because
it's a pretty
he could
good
have
one,
just been British. It's not
I-
bad.
I notice it
I don't know, where's he
at certain
from?
times. It's just
I'm
little.
looking him up. He's British, yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing. There's one moment, and I don't know whether he was just trying to deliberately, I think, throw off the scent, but I think it's when he first meets the Doctor. He seems to speak with an Irish accent. Am I the only one who is
I
getting
did
that?
not pick up on that at all.
No, I mean
Right,
Irish and
okay.
American can be accidentally slipped
Yeah, I
into
guess
each
so.
other.
I
So
I mean, like,
he might have been picking up on
certain American accents, like New York, for example, has like a big Irish American population, so there's like some overlap there, but like, no, I didn't notice it. But like at the same time, if I'm thinking of person who suffers from I'm the specialist big brain boy disease,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
It's going to be an American.
my mind does go to American before it goes to Brit.
yeah,
that's
fair.
true. I mean, Brits have their own problems.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yes,
no,
when you
like
when
there,
you
there are
think
plenty of cunts in Britain as well, but
when you think of that weird kind of uh victimized, victim complex combined with an elitism, it's very, very easy to tie that to American exceptionalism. So yes, I think
well, yeah.
it does make sense that he's American, because I did wonder, why not just make him British? Would that not, I guess, make a little bit more sense? But yeah, I think thematically it was better
Yeah.
for him to be an American, especially. I mean, and you say that it's kind of prescient, but like, yeah, I don't know how much of a caricature of an American that he would have been considered back then, but boy howdy, it doesn't look like a caricature now.
I think it's also just good for the world building, but it's like, hey, guess what? In this world, not every genius is from
Yeah.
Britain.
Countries other than England and Wales exist.
Who'd have thought?
Oh dear.
At least as far
I
as
like-
the 21st century is concerned.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that we go back to Donna's family for a bit in this episode to
Yes.
check in.
Yeah.
It's really nice that we get that moment, especially because it's stuff that we, or at least when we did get it with Martha's family, I didn't really care for it. I like that they're out there fleshing out the family of the companion in a better way this time. I mean,
Yeah.
with having Wilfred there is cheating, but I think even with Sylvia, it's nice because like the faults with Sylvia's character are more interesting to me than Martha's mum and her faults.
Yeah.
And it's great to see even like there's a moment in Poison Sky when Sylvia starts to slip back into her old ways or her current ways, I suppose, when she's chastising Donna over the phone, and then has a moment where she just stops and apologizes for it.
Oh yeah, that's right. The world is ending.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really nice moment. Seeing Wilf tearfully like greet Donna upon her return is a moment that is always just fills me with joy. Again, Wilfred Mott, it's not fair. Any moment with
And,
him
like
will
the
always be
official
golden.
meeting of Ten and Wilf.
Yeah. And the nice retcon of why we didn't see him during Runaway Bride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was good to get those characters back, and obviously they will play into more of the story later on in the season, particularly in Turn Left. But it's still endearing to see them nonetheless. One thing I will mention, and I don't know how much of a plot-ish hole this is, but well, not really plot hole, just a little weird. When Wilfred is stuck in the car and the gas is going off and the car's locked, why did it take Sylvia and that long for someone, and it being Sylvia, to get an axe to smash the window open? Now I get that
Because
everybody
we
was
needed
panicking,
a
but
cliffhanger.
I actually kind of really liked that, because there's the thing I've been saying where one of Donna's strengths is that she's like people smart, not smart,
she's more down to earth, and
like the example we see earlier where she's like, I'm the only one who thought to check if the staff had ever had any sick days, because I've worked in an office and I know what office people are like. And everyone's like, fuck, you're good. And then for Sylvia to be the only one to think, just fucking smash the glass. I'm like, that's where she gets it.
And I wonder, would it have been better if Martha herself had done that? Because that feels like a Martha thing to do. But then on the other
No,
hand,
no, you mean.
did I say Martha? I meant Donna. Yeah,
Yeah.
excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah.
For Donna to do it. But I guess it gives Sylvia more of a role in the plot.
Yeah,
It's not by
it gives
much, but
Sylvia
it's
something to do.
It's something.
Donna is understandably panicking.
Yeah, I think it's
I
actually a nice
don't think
moment
it's
where
that
it's
hard
like,
to justify. No.
yeah, because
Sure.
everyone, the whole point is always like fight, flight, or freeze, and everyone's always trying to be like, am I a this, am I a that? But I think in different situations you react in different ways. Like,
Yeah.
like if it wasn't Wilfred in the car, Donna probably would have had the thought to break the door down or the window open. But because it's her beloved Gramps, she's just panicking.
Who she just met again after
Yeah, exactly.
Adventures in Time and Space. I guess it makes sense. And the
it's
Doctor,
like-
I mean,
as much as it makes sense, it is one of the weaker cliffhangers because even like
there are worse cliffhangers, but yeah,
there are worse cliffhangers. But even for the revival, for the revival specifically, like going into the break, I've not seen a single reaction to this episode on YouTube where the commenters haven't been going just break the window going into the cliffhanger. Like it's not particularly suspenseful.
In case of cliffhanger, break glass. It's I mean, and it's kind of like what I said before. The narrative, I don't think it's too overstuffed. It's not buckling under the weight of all its content, but there's a lot going on here, and when you've got so many things going on, it's an exciting cliffhanger in a way because it looks like the world's ending, and we've got Wilfred stuck in the car and whatnot. But it feels like there's maybe a lack of focus there. And I realize maybe we're nitpicking it a little bit because it's just one scene, but it just... Sorry, I'm nitpicking it because I just noticed... Sorry, I thought Covetless was agreeing with me there, but that's fine.
No, that's fair. I was doing my fair share. That's fair enough.
Yeah, it was just something I noticed. It was just a little bit odd, I suppose.
Well, heading into the cars, it's something I'm surprised the show hasn't done. Like, because the carbon emissions and the growing number of cars on the planet. It's like something that you would think the Doctor Who would have tackled a long time ago, or at the very least earlier in the revival. But they did it now, and I find it so fascinating that they chose to do it with the Sontarans of all.
Yeah, like I feel like that angle kind of gets overshadowed.
It does.
By just the fact that it's the Sontarans and they're doing some big military organization thing. Like you get one line from Sylvia being like, ozone and carbon emissions, it's all happening, isn't it? Which almost feels disingenuous because it's like, well, that's not really the problem right now. I mean, it is, but right now it's a very specific thing that our external forces are doing to us, not something that we've done ourselves.
I'll challenge you too with this idea. I realize it would be a totally different story. But could you theoretically do this story without the Sontarans and basically have Ratigan just be kind of this evil genius who comes up with this, seemingly amazing idea? Because my God, how great would it be if car emissions weren't a thing, but they were actually just some sort of, pardon the pun, vehicle for his like a maniacal world takeover sort of a thing.
What you have him have his plan to leave the planet with all of his genius brethren, but he's actually
kind of like that. The eco,
but it wouldn't be as interesting.
No. But if it was like the eco-fascists in Invasion of the Dinosaurs, something like that,
I thought the same thing.
which would sort of work. But yes, I mean, I think my point is maybe these two ideas, Sontarans, cars, maybe they're not quite marrying up together as well.
No, I think it's fine. I don't think there's a problem with it. I just think.
Oh yeah, no. It's just
as
not
we
as.
Say, there is a lot going on in this episode, and obviously you want to focus on the Sontarans. That the car emissions being a problem commentary gets sort of lost in the weeds.
Yeah.
But I would
Yeah.
rather social commentary aspect be lost in the weeds than like plot structure and interesting
Agreed.
Yeah, that's
storytelling.
And also, well, it's not as if there isn't social commentary in the story, because there definitely is
I mean,
about.
we've talked at length about it.
Yeah, and also just basic criticisms of militarism, because we've got
Yeah.
an army versus an army essentially. But yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that I thought about the cars was, okay, they're these bad things because they're killing everybody, but like, if there was a car that didn't produce emissions, that'd be a pretty good thing,
Well, I
wouldn't
mean,
it? I mean,
well, I don't
could
know,
we
'cause the
maybe have
Doctor
some
even-
commentary on that?
Well, the Doctor calls it out in the episode. He says, like, no, zero carbon means more cars, which means the gas runs out faster. Like, he does take a little moment to point out the harm that a zero emissions car could create.
Yeah, but on the other hand, maybe that would encourage people to move to
like,
cleaner energy. But anyway, that's
that's not to say that zero emissions should not
No.
be a goal. Is
Yeah.
more commenting on like the short-sightedness of it.
Yes.
To just be
Yeah.
like, car with zero emissions. That's climate change solved. Never have to think about it again. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no, new problem, it's much bigger. Uh-oh.
And the fact that it's been conjured up by a maniacal tech billionaire,
Yeah,
which
like,
would never have
car
that was
with
never going to
zero
fly with the
emissions,
Doctor.
step 1. Car runs on renewable energy source, step 2. General infrastructure that makes cars less necessary overall, step 3. Like it's
Step
as
3,
with all
profit
things,
from the chaos.
it is a massively ongoing process that never really stops.
Yeah.
Because
And it
it is
needs
something
government
that has to be
oversight
actively
and,
maintained.
Yeah. Well, in a way, Radigan is kind of like the eco-fascists from Invasion of the Dinosaurs, because you could argue like the very core principles of what they want to do, provide a cleaner, better world. Yeah, great. Doesn't make their methods any less detestable. So yeah.
Well, the thing that I think is interesting about doing this story with the Sontarans is that it is the mystery of it. Like the Doctor straight up asks them, like, this isn't regular Sontaran behavior.
Yeah.
This seems a bit weird
That's
on
true.
their behalf, which I think is like, because what I often say about
it makes their reintroduction more interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Because like they could have just been
That's
like,
very true.
and here we are in our warships, and we are landing on the beaches, and we're just going to start shooting motherfuckers, and it just becomes a thing of like, okay, how do we get rid of them?
Yeah.
Where as opposed to this, which is like, okay, this isn't what we expect from them.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And
but
again,
at the same time, it also gives us plenty of time watching them do what they do normally do, so that we do have all our bases covered for.
Yeah.
But also just for the reintroduction of the characters, like it's useful for the Doctor to point out this isn't normal. You're not usually kind of like scheming. You're more of an attacking people. So this is a bit weird. It reminds me of when years and years ago, myself and my sister had already seen the show, but we wanted to introduce it to our family, so we would do a thing where it's like, okay, let's watch Doctor Who nightly, or as nightly as we feel like it. And we got to the end of Bad Wolf, and the Daleks came back, and at that point we were like, okay, let's take a small break, do the dishes, get dessert, and then we'll sit back and watch Parting of the Ways afterwards. And during the break, my dad, who was familiar with the show, had seen a bit of the classic era, but also had seen Dalek with us, so we knew who the Daleks were. He had a moment of being like, now, something I want to point out that I think is a bit strange, and at the time he was like, this is a criticism. He said, why are the Daleks abducting people from the space station? They would just kill them normally. And me and my sister had to go, yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? I guess, that's strange. And then the question is answered literally 5 minutes into Parting of the Ways.
True.
The Doctor questioning the Sontarans at this moment, it gave me shades of that, and I was like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Well, it also, even, I guess, thematically helps, because by having this contrast of the Sontarans doing something different, it allows the Doctor specifically to dissect who these people are and what they believe. And the themes surrounding these characters of, militarism and whatnot. So yeah, I think, as I said, there's a lot happening in this story, and maybe
it gives the script a justification for explaining all this shit about them.
Yeah.
Beyond
maybe
just, I'm the Doctor, I know them, and you guys don't.
Maybe there was a simpler way to tell this story, but it's not. Those flaws are not so egregious that it makes the whole story like pointless or anything. I'm really glad that we have this story, and
I think telling a simpler version of this story would be to its detriment.
I agree.
I
think its complexity is what makes it interesting.
Because the other thing as well is that it's a more complicated plan than we're used to for the Sontarans, but when it comes down to it, it is in service of what we know to be true about them, which is that they're militaristic and they will do anything to advance that.
Yeah, sure.
So turning Earth into a clone nest by choking the atmosphere with Sontaran clone feed is completely in line with what we know about them, and it makes perfect sense thinking back on it. Like, as soon as we hear the answer, we're like, oh, of course, it couldn't have been anything else.
Yeah. This is, well, yeah, and I mean, that's sort of reflected when, Scarl says, these are toy soldiers, the playthings of children, so it's not like Earth, for the Sontarans, it's not meant to be this big militaristic force. It's basically just, almost gardening in a way, right? Like, they're just getting rid of the weeds, and they're gonna grow all of their clone spawn for the real war that's happening.
It's interesting knowing what's going to come, and based on what the Pyrovile's plan was. It's interesting that there's never like a mention of like, oh yeah, one of our breeding worlds disappeared mysteriously, so now we got to make a new one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, maybe if you mention disappearing planets like almost every episode, then you play your hand a bit too much. But yeah.
Although you'd think they could have done something with that. Like if there were several clone worlds that the Sontarans have, maybe they could say, and we're sure that the Rutan somehow found some way to either destroy or remove the planet, so now we've got to find an alternative. But as you say, Sam, with those sorts of...
it's not necessary, and you don't want to overplay your hand, but...
Yeah. I mean, I also think
it is one of those things that you could have just thrown in there and been like, oh!
I mean, I also kind of think it's more... I think it's more thematically appropriate if it is, like, if there was... I imagine there might have been a Sontar nest planet. They probably have, like, heaps of them across the universe.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I like the idea that, like, I would have preferred if they said, our breeding planet was lost because the Rutans destroyed it, as opposed to it was taken by the Daleks. Because I think that feeds into the more, like, the pointlessness of war kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, that's true.
And, like, it could serve as a red herring to an extent, almost, as well.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Like, you have that scene in Stolen Earth, where they're like, planets that have disappeared. What about Sontar breeding worlds? No, that was actually just blown up. Okay, never mind.
The Rudens got a win this time.
Oh, yeah.
What about this planet?
There's chunks of planet floating that... that was there. Technically still is. It's just not in one piece anymore. All right,
what about this planet, Doctor? No. What about this planet? And then the person who's in charge of the Shadow Proclamation says, "No, that one was destroyed by the Flux. You don't worry about that one." So, what, the Flux? Nah, don't worry about that, Doctor. Trust me, you won't worry about the Flux. You will not care about that shit. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there much else to mention?
I think there's something to be said for the fact that the solution to this story is to ignite the very atmosphere itself and pretend that everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, that annoyed me a little bit.
It's just a shame that the trees were asleep at the wheel and didn't grow to cover the entire planet to just save the atmosphere.
Totally,
every few
What
thousand
is that?
years.
The
or whatever
Capaldi
fuck it
episode?
was.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's
Like-
that Capaldi episode called?
It's called In the Forest of the Night,
Okay, I thought it was
and
Forest.
it's
Something
by
or
far the most forgettable Capaldi story.
other.
Look, on one hand, I'm impressed by the fact that it's like, oh, they use the very technology that Radigan was using. Like, it's a very nice, like,
Oh yeah, no, that's
closed circle moment of being like, this isn't really a MacGuffin. It was already like well established.
yeah.
On the
yeah,
other
that was
hand,
good.
like the way it's presented, does it have to set the atmosphere on fire? Like, I
Well,
could
that's-
understand. I could work my way around the fact that, like, okay, there are these geniuses. They're building this stuff. They would obviously rig this so that it would be safe, but this can't have been the safest way to do it.
Well, the problem I had with it was I just don't quite understand how the technology is meant to work. Like, I get that the Doctor, he's looking up at the sky and he's saying, please, 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 work. And maybe I'm a bit biased because I've watched, Oppenheimer, but I think, okay, if the atmosphere is getting ignited, doesn't that mean that the very air around everything on Earth is just going to combust? Isn't that going to kill everybody? Like, what is so special about that top layer that means that the fire isn't going to rain down on everybody?
The implication is just that, like, the bad gas is flammable, regular air is not.
Yeah,
and we're not
but the
meant to-
gas isn't the gas almost everywhere, or at least frequently enough in the atmosphere that it's near the near the top of the stratosphere and on the ground. When I think
The
atmosphere
episode's only got
ignition-
5 minutes left, Fitz. We need to burn the air. Just accept that it will.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's the answer.
Burn the air, and don't even
Burn
think
the bad air, leave the good air.
Don't think about the fact that we still haven't disabled the Atmos devices, and they're still presumably spewing clone feed into the air.
Oh yeah,
Like, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. We're not going to explain how we turned off Atmos. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, I guess that just goes to my earlier point. There is so much that's happening in this story. It's difficult to deal with it all. Again, even for a two-parter, there's so much that it would almost be unfair to expect all of these narrative points to have solutions.
There's definitely some details that would be nice if someone was like, and when the Sontaran ship blew up, the signal to all the Atmos devices went off, and the battle droids turned off, so the Gungans won the battle. Hooray!
But this is,
like
sort of what
you
we
were saying earlier,
I
Carl.
don't
If
know,
there was like a scene with the Doctor and Mace being like, maybe you're not so bad. Like, it'd be nice if those things were there, but they're not the most necessary things.
I don't know if I fully agree with that, because Atmos is the main thing with this story.
Yeah.
Like, it's the main
No,
threat.
yeah, sure.
planet.
Like,
So, like,
that was
it's
probably
weird
more
that we-
important.
Well,
Yeah,
that
but not as-
that was more important. Yeah, totally. I feel like we do need that because, again,
Yeah.
right before the Doctor ignites the atmosphere, General Stahl orders the devices to be set to maximum. So, like,
Yeah.
again, they're still spewing air.
Yeah.
And if all of the clone feed is igniting, as you theorized might have been the case, like if the Doctor hadn't been like, okay, I'm not going to burn the atmosphere, I'm just going to burn up all the Sontaran clone feed, then every car's going to explode because it's coming out of the exhausts of like half of the cars on the planet. So
I think,
and that means that it can't just be the top layer that's igniting. It's got to be stuff on the floor as well, near where the cars are.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
which one is it?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's one of those things where it doesn't ruin the story, but it's definitely noticeable. I think, and if there's enough in the story that's working well, so that we can almost not ignore those sorts of plot holes, but put them aside a little bit. And certainly, this is overall just a very entertaining and pretty well plotted and interesting story. But at the very least, if those plot holes were in another less well crafted episode, they would be a problem, I think. Here, they just kind of managed to work. So,
I haven't even talked about like the incredibly tense sequence where the Doctor and Donna are on the phone to each other, and he's walking her through.
Oh yeah, that was great.
How to Metal Gear Solid the Sontaran spaceship. It's surprisingly tense.
Yeah, and what a great bit of character growth for Martha. Donna, excuse me,
Donna.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, for
Wow.
Donna. It's just so it's one of those things where you could imagine that she would do something like that in an earlier episode, but it feels right that it's in this point in the season. Like, it's a really great way for her to sort of test her mettle, but to have the Doctor guiding her through it, and also having her understand that, yeah, this is terrifying and awful, and the Doctor, you know, if he had the choice, he wouldn't have put you in this position, but she's sort of realizing that there's a greater good to all of these sort of things. So it becomes like, even if her succeeding might have been a bit of a foregone conclusion because, you know, it's the companion and we're only about halfway through the season, it's still really satisfying to see her work through these problems. Like, it just...
But I also like that the Doctor even says at some point, Donna's like, I don't even know how to change a light or something like that. And the Doctor gets to say to her, stop talking about yourself like that. You're brilliant. You can do this. Like, it's just a little bit of positive affirmations that are going to lead towards Donna's character growth and the tragedy of when it all gets taken away again. It's nice that seeds are continually being established throughout this season.
Yep, for sure.
Speaking of the season, one thing that I need to bring up right now, because I keep forgetting, and I've been forgetting to talk about it since Voyage of the fucking Damned. This season we have a new theme song. It's an updated version of the music.
Oh, yeah.
It's more rock. It's like a more bombastic. It's more high energy. It's my favorite version of the Doctor Who theme song we've ever gotten. It always amps me up for the episode when we're starting it. I just love it.
Yeah, it's Murray Gold.
But also, like, I love that it's got this like heavy electric guitar focus, but you can still hear the original synths from the '60s in the background. It's like a really nice marrying of the two things.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a good one.
Okay, now that we brought it up, I can stop kicking myself for forgetting about it after every single fucking recording that we do. I think we've officially covered this one. There's not much else to talk about. I'm going to give this story a 7.
Same.
Yep, me too.
Solid 7.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, next time on the show, we will be looking at Death to the Daleks.
Oh boy, it's a Third Doctor story, and stuff happens. Yeah.
But until then, I'm Alex.
I'm Fitz.
I'm Sam.
And are we all going to do this at the same time?
I don't think so. Like, first of all, I don't even think we could sync it up over Discord. But also,
fair enough.
You can fill in the gaps, audience. You know what we're referencing here.